Welcome back to the BTS Happy Hour podcast. I'm your host, Andrea. With me, as always, is Morgan.
Hey, what's up?
So J-Hope's sister is a online clothing store owner, and I think an Instagram influencer, basically, is what she's been doing for a couple years. And she just started a YouTube channel, and it got to 10 million subs very fast. And so that's good for her. I mean, you'd think people would be happy for her, but I guess she's getting a lot of hate messages because her YouTube channel has grown so fast. Some people just feel the need to put negative comments on there, kind of saying she's only successful because she's J-Hope's sister, and that's why she got so much interest. Like, I don't know why people, like, if you're going to, it doesn't affect you, like, whatever she's doing, this girl. I don't understand the whole reasoning behind that. Just some random girl who's a sibling of someone who's in BTS. It's like, I need to focus my comments on this person because they're not successful totally on their own. It's like, well, who is successful totally on their own? A lot of things that's a situation you're in, is like you're related to somebody, or you know somebody, or you've worked with somebody. It's like there's nothing you can do about that, and it's not even a negative thing. So I don't know why people want to discredit other people for that. So it's like she can't take it back. She can't not be J-Hope's sister. So
yeah, I mean, do they? Well, I guess maybe they do. I mean, do they have the same problem with the Kardashians? You know, there's just people. They have whatever advantages they come into life with. She's J-Hope's sister, so.
I mean, that's gonna help you put your name out there.
Yeah,
but it's like,
I mean, we can't deny that it has helped. But what are you gonna do about it? If you're her, all you can do is just do whatever you were going to do and let the chips fall. And
yeah.
Probably, she probably will get more fans. She probably will get. But the other thing is, even if you get more subs at first, if you get more attention, if you don't, what does she do? She does like clothing or something like that?
Yeah, I think she
a fashion person?
Well,
if you
clothing.
don't do good product, or you don't do good work, or you don't create good content, eventually people will just stop looking at you.
Exactly. It's
so
like they have to like you for...
It's still incumbent upon her to produce quality. And that's not to say that it's not an advantage. Of course it is an advantage. But at the same time, what can you do about the advantage? And as far as what can you do about it, just you being a person observing it, well, I guess you can write mean comments on Twitter or YouTube or something. But what does that get? What does that get you? I mean, it doesn't really get you that much. So why are you doing it?
Yeah, I don't understand that psychology, because she got those comments. A lot of them came from a Q&A session. She was doing an Instagram live, and you have to be a follower, I guess, to log into it or to have known about it. It's like, why would you ask a question like that to someone's face? It's like, that's rude even.
What question? What did they ask?
It's like, isn't your YouTube success all because of your brother? Obviously, you're not interested in her clothing line or anything else.
Well, the answer is yes, but so what? The answer is yes, but so what? What can you do about it? So that's what I would say to that, right? She didn't ask for her brother to become one of the most famous pop stars in the world. That's out of her control. The best thing to do is not to even respond to these people.
So there's an SM trainee named Yoo Jimin, and some of her messages got leaked. And in them, she's insulting NCT, BTS, and EXO.
Oh, yeah, I saw this. It was great. Yeah.
There's a couple of screenshots that were released by this person she was friends with. So I guess she's not friends with this person anymore since they released it. I think they ended on a bad note or something. And so this other friend decided to make her look bad by releasing these, which is...
Or fake them.
That's possible, yeah.
We don't know for sure that they're real.
Only the two people would know if it's a real thing. But yeah, she released some messages, and she talked about how there's going to be 2 new people in NCT, and she said they're not handsome, and she was criticizing that, and it's like, whoa, what? I mean, I guess you'll say a lot of things, just snarky things in messages, and so I don't think people should come down on her too hard for that. I mean, it's supposed to be a private conversation. But yeah, I guess she didn't like the looks of the 2 new NCT people, and...
Really?
Yeah.
I find that amazing because I find all NCT people look exactly the same. You can tell them apart?
There's a lot of them.
So who does she think is good looking? They all look the same to me is what I'm trying to say. And that's not a race thing. It's just they all seem to be attractive SM looking guys.
Yeah.
SM doesn't hire ugly people. And if they hire ugly people, you can be damn sure they'll pay to have them get some surgery to make them fit the SM mold. Okay? So I don't know what she's talking about.
Yeah, I mean,
they all seem to be attractive and in the same way. Yeah, that's what my impression is.
Yeah, I saw a couple pictures of those two new guys. Like, I was like, oh yeah, they look good. I mean, they fit the look of NCT. They're like the other guys, so I didn't see anything out of the ordinary there. It sounds like she kind of regrets being in SM because one of her messages was like, oh, I should have gone to Big Hit's audition or YG's audition instead of SM. So kind of sounds like she's not feeling like she made the right choice there of company. But I just assumed everybody auditions for everything and then you just see what happens. But maybe she just auditioned for SM and then got that right away and was just like, okay, done.
Well, SM is still the biggest company.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe she auditioned and they said yes and she said, oh, awesome, let's do it, right?
Yeah.
Well, number one, we cannot assume the messages are true. There's no evidence of that. Did she admit that they're true?
No, she has not admitted anything.
So it's just anonymous people leaking. I could be anonymous and leak messages supposedly that somebody wrote. Now, normally if you do that in America, there's journalistic standards, or at least there used to be before like 2018 or so. But let's say if this was like, I don't know, 1980. If you just went to the New York Times or something and says, hey, this happened to me, by the way. They couldn't just turn around and write a story about, hey, we got an anonymous source and this happened. You know what they'd have to do? They would have to actually corroborate it with like two different sources.
Yeah.
They would have to call people you know and say, hey, so-and-so says something like this happened. Do you corroborate that? And if they said, no, I don't know what the hell those people are talking about, then you can't run with that story because it's just one person saying stuff. You would have to get like two people to corroborate that story, even if they do it, off the record or something. At least that is the journalistic standard, right? Do they have that standard at, all K-pop or wherever this was run? I don't know. My guess is no, though.
Yeah, I think they just print the story.
They probably take an anonymous source and just sort of run with it and just say, whatever.
It's like this person had some screenshots of something, even though...
Screenshots are so easily faked.
Everybody knows how to alter that,
even you can't even trust pictures now. There's deep fakes. You can't even trust pictures. So, yeah. So, first of all, number one, we don't know that she actually said these things. Number two, let's assume that she did say these things, which is an assumption. My first reaction is, okay, I already said I think she's wrong about whether or not... Well, she didn't just mention SM. She said, relevant to this podcast, she said BTS members are ugly, correct?
Right.
Yes, you forgot that part. She said BTS members were ugly.
She said back in the day, Jimin and RM, she thought they were
And that's why she didn't want to go to Big Hit, right?
Oh, right. And this was before Big Hit was so successful.
Right.
And then before BTS was huge, she was like, yeah, Big Hit sucks. I'm not going to go audition there.
Right, based on how ugly she thought that people were. Okay.
Yeah.
Here's what I have, my take on it. Who is she to talk about how good other people look? I saw her pictures, even though she's a very attractive girl. She still needs her nose job, her standard SM nose job, okay? Mm-hmm. So, you're not quite there yet. Even though you could see she has sort of like an Irene look. She's gonna be there, but only after her mandatory surgery.
It's like a classic kind of look.
Yeah, after her mandatory surgery, she'll be there. Second take on this is, how old was she? She's like 20, right? And so maybe these messages were at 19, and maybe like she joined SM at 16 or 17, correct? She's a teenager.
Yeah.
Have you heard teenagers talk about... Teenagers are dumb, okay? The vast majority of teenagers are dumb. Now, if you're a teenager and you're listening, sorry to offend you. You won't stay this way forever, so don't worry about that. You don't know much about the world. You just like, stuff just comes out of your mouth, right?
Well, there's so many that like said stuff on Twitter that they regret later.
Yeah. I would hate to be judged by what I said when I was 16 years old. That would be a terrible, terrible fate. Okay, so let's, even if she did say these things, let's cut her a little bit of slack because 16-year-olds say dumb things. And I think we should have some tolerance and some allowance for that. You could totally see some attractive 16-year-old girl just saying, oh yeah, this guy's ugly, that guy's ugly. If she were a head of state or a diplomat for your country, would you expect more restraint? And would you expect her to be a little bit more circumspect? Yes, you would.
Yeah, like if you're Kate Middleton, like everything.
Yeah, or you're in the royal family. Yes, you would expect better behavior and better decision making. Absolutely. But 16-year-old girl, okay?
And she's supposedly talking to her friend. It's just like
and it's just
comments.
DMs with your friend. It's just, even if you're an adult right now, look at your DMs with your friends. Probably there's some really cringeworthy stuff that you would not want the media to see. I know for a fact that's true with me. I won't say what, but absolutely. I say stuff in private messages that would be terrible to get out. She's going to say dumb stuff that would look terrible in the public, but they weren't meant for the public. And you might say, well, you should know you're an SM trainee. You should know that this stuff might get out, so you should show better judgment. Yes, she should. And no, I don't feel the comments that she made were evil or anything like that. She's like,
yeah.
I mean, girls talking about the guys they think are ugly or attractive, that's normal. I can see how that would look offensive to you if you don't agree about who they find attractive or not. But, that's a very subjective thing. I don't think that makes her a bad person. I think that probably is normal behavior for a lot of 16-year-old girls. So,
I mean, everything she said was about looks of other idols, or it was about she wanted to try out for these other companies and regrets that.
And you don't even have to harken back to when you were 16 to relate to that. How many times, let's say for listeners who are over 16, who are adults, let's say, how many times have you talked to coworkers about, God, this company we work for sucks and is so incompetent for these reasons? Don't you wish we worked for another company or something?
Right.
Have you ever had a single conversation similar to that? And don't tell me you haven't, because I have, you have, everybody has.
Yeah.
Does that make you a bad person? No, it's a very natural sort of conversation to have. Now, if she were in interviews saying SM is garbage, why the hell did I join SM? Okay, that would be a totally different sort of thing. That would be insubordination. That would be being a bad employee, right?
Yeah.
That would be another level of bad judgment. But saying it in private, I think is, it's still bad judgment because, these days, stuff gets out. If you think you're even close to being a celebrity, you should think about that. And she's also not an idol yet. She hasn't debuted. This stuff is going to happen. This is just in that same vein. She's just bad-mouthing her employer. Maybe she was just felt frustrated that day.
Because her career hasn't gone how she wanted.
Maybe there's something bad happened that day, or it was a tough day for whatever reason. You don't know that this is indicative of her. She has some axe to grind with SM or anything like that. Maybe she doesn't. Maybe it was just a temporary frustration that she was expressing. That is possible as well. You have to take all of that into account. I don't think it's really that bad. And keep in mind that even though she's young, her work day, her work life is pretty demanding. It's pretty tough. Even as a trainee, I would assume, right? So it's a frustrating, tough job to go to every day. And if she expresses some frustration with her workplace, okay. She just, unfortunately, just had some stuff leaked. If you had all of your DMs leaked, trust me, it would not look good.
People need to stop leaking their friends or ex-friends' conversations. It's not an ethical thing to do. It's like, oh, let me get back at them by leaking this. It's like, that's...
It's not. And even if you want to do it, though, here's the thing. I'm not going to, and unfortunately, other people don't share my stance on this, but I'm not going to just believe you. I'm not going to say, oh, yeah, that probably happened. We have to take it with a grain of salt. But even, let's say it did happen, I know it looks bad, but when you really think about the context, it's not so bad. It's okay to insult people in private.
Do you think SM will have any kind of repercussions for her? Or?
No, because from what I heard, she's one of the more favored members. She's slated to be in the next girl group.
Oh, okay.
And when you look at her, she's going to look like the next Irene or something like that, right? They have a plan for her. If she has some spicy attitudes and some DMs, so what? Guarantee you that other employees at SM have had that. They just didn't have it leaked. You think they're all just company men and they just toe the line all the time in all their conversations with people? No.
That's going to be kind of awkward, though, if she runs into those two new NCT guys at the building or something.
Well, you know what? It's like, called being a professional. It's
like, hi, I didn't do those messages. Nice to meet you.
I wouldn't even be that bothered by it. Let's say you're an NCT member. You're very much in demand. Does it really bother you that this one girl who at your workplace thinks you're ugly?
Probably not. They've got so much going on.
Yeah.
And they have many fans that are praising them.
Well, there's a lot of attractive girls who think I'm attractive, so I don't care. I don't even think they interact that much. Really?
Doesn't SM have a building? So if you go
Do
there,
they all? Yeah.
Someone's
maybe.
recording and someone's in the next room, or maybe you see them in the hallway. Or
who cares?
Dance practice.
Just ignore. Just don't talk to her. Everybody has people they hate at work, right? I have people I hate at work. I just avoid them. You gotta be an adult about this, and you don't avoid them in a way like, I'm just gonna make it clear that I'm trying to avoid you. You just sort of quietly avoid them.
Like we're just doing our own thing over here.
Exactly. You just be an adult about it, you know? It's just no big deal. It's a funny story. It's an interesting story. I don't want to assume it's true out of principle, but at the same time, yeah, it's probably true. She probably said those things.
So because of the popularity of K-dramas and K-pop groups and Parasite and everything that's going on in the Korean music and movies and the arts industry, since all that stuff is gaining popularity, it sounds like the Korean government has decided it's putting together a plan to help protect the rights and interests of underage celebrities. I guess they're really worried about the younger artists with all the stuff they have to deal with, and I'm not sure what they're going to do exactly, but I know already that if you're under 18, like you can't be on a broadcast past 10 o'clock and things like that. It's like they try to protect the younger K-pop idols. So it sounds like they're going to try to do more as far as, agencies that are being unethical or they're unregistered and they're, preying on the younger people. I mean, that kind of stuff happens in Hollywood too. So except that Hollywood doesn't bother to do anything about it. So it sounds like Korea, they care, and then they're going to try to crack down on unethical people out there that are, trying to pretend they have a talent agency or something, and then really they're just trying to get young people in their orbit and take pictures or whatever it is that they want. That sounds like a good move because we always hear about like shady things that are happening in K-pop, and a lot of it has to do with the smaller labels and how they treat artists and like working them too hard and things like that, and having transparency and auditions and because the produce thing, I'm sure that was already illegal, but stuff like that, things that are just like not being transparent or like being different than what they've advertised. And it sounds like they also want to give support for the underage celebrities so that they get the right psychological and emotional support, because we know that that stress is a huge issue and depression is huge, and there's suicides every once in a while from in the entertainment industry, and even just in Korea overall, like we talked about in one episode before. But I guess it's a serious enough issue that they're gonna look more at it, although I don't know how exactly you can change how society is. It sounds like they're just going to help provide more counseling on that aspect of it for people on their way up in their careers. They're going to have more psychological counseling and help them navigate all of these things and being famous. I was going to say, maybe they should just like limit the hours per day, but I don't know if that's going to be difficult because, you don't know how a day is going to go if they're going to be doing something 8 hours a day or 12 hours that day, and you don't want to hold people back. If they want to work hard, then they should be able to do that. I don't know why, but I just think the Korean government, they seem to have a good intention, and it doesn't seem like it's just something they're doing to add more regulation just for no reason or just because of a special interest or something. It sounds like they kind of do want to help the situation so that there's not as many like stressed out celebrities that are having all of these issues. Because I see stories like that all the time. Like a couple weeks ago, it was like there was an idol, they like jumped off a bridge, and all these other situations like that where people are harming themselves. So I think that's good that they want to look at preventing that from happening. I don't know if they have all the solutions, but it sounds like they're at least going to look at it.
No, I don't think their intentions are all totally altruistic. Think about it. If K-pop is going to be a gigantic industry and people are going to be looking at it, you can't be having people kill themselves. You can't have people being abused, correct? It's going to look like a dirty industry, right? So in that sense, there's an interest in keeping it clean.
Do you think it's more of like damage control, just so people don't like talk bad about the Korean industries?
Yes, I'm sure people would rather people not be abused than abused, but I think the primary driver of this is that now that more people internationally are looking at it, they want it to look as clean as possible, so it's as viable economically as possible.
Right.
And the reason why I say that is because where were all these laws before? K-pop was a thing. K-pop was a thing, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
These industries existed just because they win Oscars, just because they have Western eyes on them, doesn't mean that these people who exist in the industry needed less protection before. These abuses happened before.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that a large component of that is that they want it to look like a clean industry now that international eyes are looking at it, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a two-way street. It's like if you want the international audience and their dollars, it's like, well, they're going to have their values too, and they're going to look at everything.
I think that they are imposing these. There is something to it that, there's going to be, now that there's more interest in becoming a star, there's going to be more of these, small outfits popping up, and it's they're more liable to abuse people or take advantage of people. And yes, that should be controlled. So I'm not one of these people that's really big on motivations. I don't even really care about what your motivations are. It really is just the net effect of those motivations. Like, there's plenty of people who do things and they have good intent. Like they say, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. I really do not care. Intent matters, but it's not the whole story, right? So in this case, if their intent is to just cover their butts and make sure the industry looks clean enough for foreign investment, but the net effect of it is that it makes the industry safer for people who are in it, I don't mind. That's a good thing. There's a room for abuse, just like there's room for abuse in Hollywood. It's no different, and it does need to happen because this industry deals with a lot of minors.
Yeah.
If it was an industry that only dealt with adults, I think it would be a lot less important. But it's an industry that deals primarily with minors. Anybody who becomes a trainee, nobody becomes a trainee at 19. I think everybody is under 18, pretty much. And it should be regulated as such. So that's good.
There's Korean politicians discussing some other alternative plans for BTS members serving in the military. So we know that that's going to be an issue coming up because Jin is supposed to serve by end of next year. And there was one politician that had a plan about delaying enlistment. Remember there's a guy who
delaying it.
Wanted to say, okay, move it from 28 to 30 to be when you can delay it.
Right.
So that's one guy's plan. And then there's someone else had an idea that how about if all of BTS can serve together in 2025. So
that's his idea.
That's somebody else's idea, and that's based on how much BTS contributes to national prestige.
Right.
And all that would be the reason for it, and so then it would put that off 5 years from now.
Right.
So it sounds like they're talking about a lot of different ideas right now and trying to figure out what's the best way to go. And it sounds like the country doesn't want them, they don't think an exemption would be greeted favorably. Like they think that would look like special treatment or something. So
apparently, I mean, I don't have my finger on the pulse of Korean politics, but they would know better, right?
Yeah, I think that's part of what these politicians are working with, is that they think that would be seen as a negative thing. It's like, oh, we can't just outright say, oh, they don't need to serve at all. So that's why they have all these other alternative ideas. Well, at least sounds like they're getting somewhere. Just do something in 2025. I don't know. Does Jin want to serve in the military like when he's older though? Like, I don't know.
They absolutely would welcome that solution.
Yeah, I guess that's fine.
Yeah, they absolutely would. Yeah, sure. It's not like they'd be doing anything difficult. It's just, something to get through.
Yeah.
I'm still amazed that they don't just give them an exemption, but I don't know. I guess I'm not familiar with how they feel over there.
Yeah, they really seem to be resisting that.
Exemptions are handed out.
That idea.
Are they so against like their athletes getting it?
It kind of sounds like they stopped doing that. Like it happened, but then...
If there's anybody who deserves an exemption, this makes it very obvious that there's people in government know that they need to do something about this. It is going to be bad for the economy, for the prestige of South Korea. It just does not make sense for them to send them to the military. That is a bad thing. The only reason why they don't do it apparently is because politics. They feel like whoever says, yeah, I voted for the exemption fully, they might not win election next time.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that's stopping them. Okay? Everybody who has a pragmatic viewpoint on it clearly sees that they're more valuable doing their thing than they are serving their time. But the political cost of letting them do that apparently is still too high. So they're trying their best to come up with something. But that's a good sign that they're still trying their best. And I think that the whole just delaying it, yeah, that works. That's fair, Or just let them You know what they should do? If they could just say, instead of 18 months or whatever, they could just do like 10 months together. That could really fit anywhere. They don't have to wait till 2025. They could do it in 2021. 10 months. Trust me, if they just went away for 10 months, you would barely notice. Even in K-pop, you wouldn't even really feel it. Just let them do 10 months for whatever reason. You could shorten it, right?
Yeah. And it's like they're still serving.
They still serve, right? It's just like we should shorten the time. And maybe you can argue that, well, we'll make them work harder or something, or do the same amount of stuff that they would have done just in a more condensed period.
Right.
Whatever the stuff that they need to do is.
Maybe it's like 7 days a week instead.
Yeah. Maybe they have to just work harder. Like, that's fine. Like, you can put them through it. Okay. So make it 10 months. Make them all do it at the same time. You would barely notice they were gone. That would be my solution. If it's still such a political poison to just give them a true exemption.
Do you think it looks bad if you're someone who votes for an exemption, or just the person who writes the bill?
Well, votes for it, of course. Your vote is on record.
Okay.
No. Yeah. They don't. If you vote for it, then you're responsible. They're not like, oh, we only blame the person who wrote it.
Well, because then I was going to say, maybe just, some of the retiring people can write the bill. No, that's not how it works.
Do voters just focus on who wrote a bill?
No, but that person is out front. It's like has their name on it.
That person's not even out front. The average voter is too ignorant to even know who wrote the bill. They just know that your political opponent during that election says, so-and-so voted for this bill. Isn't he a bad person? And they say that a billion times in commercials.
Yeah, but it just really depends what your district is. Like, what if you live in a district that they're very pro-BTS?
True, but you need a majority of people to vote for it, correct?
Right.
And they don't have that political willpower. I would like to think that the Korean public would think, okay, yeah, this makes sense. Give them exemption. They contribute so much to South Korea. But again, this is an outsider's view, so it's not fair to, transplant that to them. Right?
Well, I like that this plan is the first one that's talking about them serving at the same time, because they could all do that.
Right. Same time is best.
If they wanted to.
If they're going to serve.
But this is like the first time I've heard of a plan that, that's an option for doing, because all these other plans apply to just, people individually.
Right. You cannot vote yes if you think it's going to look bad for you.
Well, here's what you have to do. You have to write the bill, right? And then tie it to like disaster relief or something. So it's like you got to vote for both of these things.
Yeah, doesn't. Well, we don't know that we don't know that Korean politics works the same way. I know what you're talking about. In American politics, you can write bills and people will put like riders on it. They'll attach something that is totally unrelated, and like there's a bill about hurricane relief or something. Somebody will tack on, and BTS gets exempt.
Yeah.
Okay, and you have to vote on the whole thing or nothing, right?
Yeah, it's like,
and so if most people they want the hurricane relief. Most people do, right? They just have to say, I guess we're voting for this. I could fight you on this rider that you just put on it, but I'm not going to bother. It's not a big deal to me, right? So they just vote yes on it.
It's like, okay.
So that's how some stuff slips through.
It's like, whatever, 7 people.
Yeah.
Right. Doesn't affect that much.
Yeah, we spend X amount of money. It's not that big of a deal to me. We still get the main thing that I want. I'm going to vote yes.
Someone should try that.
You may not be able to attach riders on a bill. Yeah, they apparently have decided that the blowback is too great. 2025 is an okay compromise, I think.
Yeah, probably by then it's going to be BTS. Maybe they're slowing down a little bit and they're not as prominent. There'll be other K-pop groups that are kind of in the spotlight at the time. So maybe that'll be a good downtime for them to all go at the same time and then get it done. And then they can come back and be, the senior, like Super Junior kind of group.
Right, exactly. They could take like a Super Junior break.
And then they'd have a huge comeback. This sounds like a good idea. This sounds promising. I'm optimistic. Thank you to our guest, Morgan. You can find BTS Happy Hour on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Podbean, Castbox, Deezer, Listen Notes, and iHeartRadio. New episodes weekly. If you want to support the podcast, please comment and share on social media, leave a review on Apple Podcasts, or give us a rating on your podcast app. Follow BTS Happy Hour on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Until next time, this has been the BTS Happy Hour. Thanks for listening, and remember, make every hour a happy one.